Welcome to today's special event. My name is Nikki Upshaw, and over the next half hour, along with my colleagues Bernie Carter.
Hi, Nikki.
And Steve Odell.
Hi, Nikki.
We're so pleased to share some exciting announcements about the world of Oceania cruises.
Absolutely. At Oceania Cruises, the launch of a new season or new itineraries has typically resulted in strong demand as our guests make their plans to explore the world, especially with our longer and unique voyages.
Thank you, Bernie. And that's why today's event is so special. In just a matter of days, we will open the books for our 2024 Around the World in 180 Days voyage. Every year, this bucket list voyage sells out in a matter of hours, and we expect no less this year. Furthermore, and what excites me today, is the introduction of 4 additional truly grand voyages. So thank you for joining us to learn more, and now let's begin.
Thank you, Steve. We want to acknowledge that travel for most of us has been severely limited these last few years as we've had to collectively navigate a global pandemic. But rather than dampen the demand for future travel, we've actually seen the opposite. So many of our guests are planning their vacations even further out, and in many cases, planning multiple trips at a time. So what does this mean? Well, even though 2024 might seem like it's a long way off, recent booking trends suggest that planning early and securing your space is essential.
And it's not just about how much further people are planning their travels, but how they are choosing to explore the world. Maybe it's the consequence of having spent more time at home than ever before these last few years. But we've seen particularly strong demand for our longer, more exotic itineraries. It's really like we're all wanting to make up for lost time.
And that's what makes Oceania Cruises the perfect fit here and now. There are 3 things that set us apart, which we call our core pillars. They really help us deliver those bucket list experiences and to do this in a way that is truly unrivaled. They are small ship luxury, exquisitely crafted cuisine, and carefully planned and curated travel experiences.
So let me speak to that first pillar, small ship luxury. In a world of ever larger ships, I find our mid-sized ships to be truly refreshing. Our fleet of 6, soon to be 7 vessels accommodate only 684 to just over 1,200 guests. This gives Oceania Cruises a tremendous advantage over so many ships found with premium cruise companies. On board, it translates to a higher level of personal service and a true lack of crowds and lines. There's simply more space on a per-guest basis and an overall residential feel. It's almost as if you're staying in a grand manor versus a large resort. But small ship luxury also has its benefits beyond life on board. Our smaller mid-sized ships allow us to call on smaller, more boutique ports and makes the ease of getting on or off the ship to explore those destinations so much easier and with fewer crowds.
And the size of our ships really allows us to deliver on that second pillar, exquisitely crafted cuisine. No matter which Oceania ship you board, each offers multiple dining venues and restaurants, all with their own dedicated staff and galley. This means that every dish is made to order. It's the difference between dining in a fine restaurant versus a banquet hall. We source the finest ingredients prepared by some of the world's best chefs, and all under the watchful eye of our first-in-class executive culinary team, including famed master chef Jacques Pepin. There's a reason we are known as the cruise line for foodies.
So much so that our love for culinary extends beyond our restaurants, which leads us to our third pillar, curated travel experiences. It's not just about where we sail, but the experiences we offer guests when we get there. Building on what both Steve and Bernie talked about at Oceania Cruises, we truly are destination specialists. What does that mean? Well, the size of our ships and careful itinerary planning allows guests to explore without crowds and offers more time in port, including late-night departures and overnight stays. There's nothing like being able to see sunsets at a port of call. We also seek to create itineraries with a blend of larger cosmopolitan cities, marquee ports, as well as boutique ports of call. And we offer a selection of unique activities ashore, from our culinary discovery tours, go local tours, our wellness excursions, and a wide selection of smaller group tours. We even offer multi-day overland experiences, including pre- and post-cruise packages. All of this leads us to our newest upcoming voyages. And before we dig into our 2024 Around the World in 180 Days voyage, I have Nathan joining us to talk a little bit about our new epic grand voyages.
Thanks, Nikki. And as you've all said, with the new year upon us, now is the time to plan that longer journey you've always wanted to embark on. Our expertly crafted grand voyages are compelling for the sheer variety of explorations possible. Imagine meaningful shore excursions that connect you to the place, the culture, and the people. And finally, enough time to find that rhythm of local life, taste traditional dishes both ashore and on board, and experience myriad destinations. And to borrow your phrase, all in one epic cruise adventure.
As Steve mentioned, more than ever, we've seen grand voyages become increasingly popular as more travelers want to set off and rediscover the world for weeks and even months at a time.
Right. So to meet that desire, we're introducing 4 new grand voyages sailing in late 2023 and 2024, ranging in length from 72 to 82 days and covering regions as diverse as the Pacific Ocean, the Arabian Peninsula, the Indian Ocean, and the Far East in Africa.
So let's kick off with our first grand voyage, the ultimate exotic traveler.
This 79-day journey, sailing aboard Nautica with just 684 guests, blends the beauty of some of the most stunning tropical destinations in the world, like French Polynesia, the Seychelles, and the Maldives, and adds a few far-flung destinations like Papua New Guinea and the Comoros. The journey begins from Papeete, spending 11 days cruising French Polynesia before heading through the Samoan Islands and off to Fiji. We then head even further south to explore the North and South Islands of New Zealand. Then off over to Australia, exploring 6 ports along the eastern coast, including an overnight in Sydney, which, if I'm not mistaken, is one of your favorite destinations.
Absolutely. I was there with my family a couple of years ago, and it was incredible. We went snorkeling at the Great Barrier Reef. We actually did some hiking in the Blue Mountains, and my kids convinced me to then climb the Sydney Harbour Bridge. It was incredible. One of those bucket list activities that I would encourage everyone to do, and the views were just stunning.
So I might opt to stay on the ground and get some restaurant recommendations from Steve. But after Sydney, the ship goes a bit off the beaten path to Papua New Guinea before exploring Buddhist temples and the ancient cultures of Indonesia, Singapore, and Thailand. Then, as a true highlight, 3 full days in Yangon, Myanmar. From there, we'll cross the Indian Ocean, explore Sri Lanka, the Maldives, and the Seychelles. And I've actually been to the Seychelles, and it's the stunning beaches, white sand, blue lagoons, forest of palm trees, and big granite rocks that just come out of the shore. It is absolutely stunning. From there, then off to the volcanic archipelago of the Comoros Islands, before calling on Mozambique and Madagascar. This epic journey ends with a visit to 3 ports of call in South Africa, including an overnight stay in Cape Town.
You and I had a chance to be in Cape Town, a few years ago again for work. And I think afterwards you went over to Stellenbosch region for a bit for an opportunity to taste some yummy wines, I'm sure. And I then went off to my first African safari, another bucket list experience and one that we'll be offering as a post-cruise opportunity on this grand voyage.
Absolutely. The pictures from your trip, I remember seeing on social media, they looked amazing, truly a bucket list. And my family's from the Russian River Valley in Northern California, so the chance to go see the wine area of South Africa was really, really special. Fun fact, there's actually, I found that wine was less expensive than bottled water while I was there, so I'm nothing if not economical.
So that's our first new truly grand voyage. Our next one is our Grand Pacific Expedition, which follows the Pacific Rim. Departing from Los Angeles, we cruise north to Oregon and up to British Columbia before exploring the last frontier, visiting 6 breathtaking ports of call in Southeast Alaska, including Whittier, Kodiak, and Dutch Harbor.
You know, Nikki, I've done Alaska by land and by sea, on large ships and small ships, and I have to tell you, there's no better way to experience Alaska than on a smaller ship. You're just so much closer to the nature and those majestic vistas.
And on this voyage, it's not your typical Alaska cruise. As we continue onward across the Bering Strait to remote Kamchatka Peninsula and to the diverse region of Japan, we spend 11 days exploring this beautiful country of contrasts, from the serenity of its temples and gardens to witnessing centuries-old customs and traditions and modern cities with overnight stays in Tokyo and Kobe. From there on to bustling Shanghai and Hong Kong, China, where an overnight in each gives plenty of time to see the city come alive at night.
What I particularly love about this voyage is that after calling on Taiwan, we'll head over to Vietnam for 7 days of in-depth exploration with 3 overnight ports of call. Top of my list is the magical Ha Long Bay. With its islands of limestone cliffs topped with greenery, it's no doubt why it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
The exploration of Southeast Asia continues to Cambodia and Thailand, 2 places that I've been fortunate to be able to travel to, and they're truly magical. Then we'll overnight in Bangkok before calling on Singapore, and we spend 4 days exploring the Indonesian island nation with an overnight in Bali and a visit to Java. This epic journey concludes with 12 days exploring the western and southern shores of beautiful Australia, with overnights in Fremantle and in Melbourne, before ending the journey once again in my favorite spot, Sydney. In fact, as Nathan mentioned, Steve is fortunate to call Sydney home. So Steve, any suggestions while we're there?
You know, Nikki, we've had the opportunity to live in some amazing places around the world, London, Monaco, all wonderful. But the opportunity to be back here in Sydney was one we couldn't pass up. And I'm sure those of you watching who have been here, or maybe even live here, understand why. And if you haven't had the chance to sail into Sydney Harbour and past our incredible Opera House, well, 2024 should be the year that you check that off your bucket list. And why not stay longer in our beautiful country? Visit the Red Centre or the Great Barrier Reef. There are just so many amazing places to visit.
On my list, clearly these are amazing itineraries that allow for truly in-depth exploration. But when we talk to our past guests, our Oceania Club members, their loyalty is about more than just the itinerary, the size of ship, or even the cuisine.
Absolutely. When you think about sailing with like-minded travelers for 60 or more days, it really creates a unique travel experience, another family. But rather than hear that from me, I'd like to introduce 2 Oceania Club members, our dear friends Karen and Bill Pollock, who have taken a number of grand voyages aboard our ships. Karen and Bill, welcome. We're talking today about our grand voyages and our around the world in a 180-day cruise, and you've both done those several times. I'm sure many watching today have cruised before, if not on Oceania, maybe on another cruise line. But they've also been hesitant perhaps to take such a long voyage with us. What advice would you give them?
Well, in our experience, it takes about 2 weeks to truly settle in and become comfortable and get into the routine. And knowing you're going to be on board for an extended period of time gives you the opportunity to enjoy the routine offered by the ship. There are many activities, and to settle in and to make that your comfort area for 2-3 months, however long it's going to last. And that for me is very important.
You settle in and it's home. It is absolutely home. And it's a little bit different from home because somebody else does the cooking and the cleaning and everything else. But the fact is that it's a second home, literally a second home.
What are some of your favorite parts of life on board Oceania's ships?
We always have a penthouse suite, which we've had since Renaissance days. It's beautifully appointed in terms of what is in the suite, and the restaurants are beautifully, beautifully decorated. You know, they've gone to great trouble to make people comfortable with the design, with the selection of colors and furniture and artwork.
And it gives you a different feel when you're in Red Ginger, or if you're in the Grand Bar, or if you're in the Grand Dining Room, or every one is specific to that locale. And that's the kind of luxury that you have on the ship.
What's nice about a smaller ship is that it can go, for example, we've been to Vietnam many times. When we go with Oceania on the smaller ships, we're able to go up the Saigon River into Saigon, which is now called Ho Chi Minh City, in the middle of town. Many years ago, we were on another line, and we had to be 2 hours outside of Saigon. That in itself is a turnoff. If you are in Bordeaux in France, in the middle of the most beautiful wine country. The ship goes into the middle of town. It's like being on a river cruise. You get off and you meander the streets, and it's spectacular. And it's nice. You can go and enjoy and come back.
Thank you for sharing that. So, what do you love most about traveling to all of these different places, getting a taste of so many different cultures?
It's very nice to be on a long cruise, and one day you're in port eating fresh fish that just came off the fisherman's boat, and the next day you're hiking up a mountain, and the next day you're going into an old church, and the next day you're going to the ballet in another city. They go to chateaus for wine tastings. They go into markets for the experience of foods. So it's a variety of activities and a variety of combinations, and the destinations are then enhanced by the onboard offerings, which are very varied, from the food to activities, whether they're sports games or lectures or concerts or whatever.
That's one of the things that Oceania does really well, is that they give you a variety of possibilities of things to do, and you pick and choose what you want to do.
I, for one, am definitely a foodie, so the food is one of my favorite aspects of traveling to so many different countries. How do you feel the culinary delights on board contributes to the overall guest experience?
Well, from that standpoint, Oceania has made their mark, and they get very inventive, also by having various nationalities in the culinary program. They're able to bring in and infuse it with flavors from Asia, from Europe. We have a great chef who's from Nepal. That's not your run-of-the-mill type of culinary experiences. And they have, at certain times, a grand buffet where they have a chilled strawberry soup, which is one of the most glorious things in the world. On some of the ships, we have the culinary programs with marvelous, marvelous opportunities to go shopping for the produce and come back and test recipes and perfect our skills. And, you know, it's a very interesting concept.
During my working career, I traveled the world and ate in a lot of very nice restaurants. I'll put Oceania up against any one of them.
One of the things on Grand Voyages, because of the duration and knowing that certain people will be on there for a long duration of time, not only will they have the regular menu, which changes and has been, it's in a rotation of 14 days, but they infuse extra things in there, and oftentimes they'll be destination specific.
When we're in the Pacific, especially in the Pacific, we have lots of fresh fish.
They will bring in a red snapper that stands, or tuna, and the tuna is humongous. And what they'll do is they'll have the tuna there, and it's properly iced, and you see a full tuna, but then it's cooked to order right in front of you. And that's a special touch. And you know you've been to a Pacific island or an Indian Ocean island, and they're remarkable and unique fish in those areas. And they do some absolutely marvelous things.
And normally it's done by the head chef. The head chef comes out and does it.
And
it's neat.
It's just a culinary party. It's great fun.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about the Oceania Cruises family quite often. And what does the Oceania Cruises family mean to you?
That is the most special part of the whole relationship. There are some people who have become true, very close, personal friends, and we now do so many things together. And it's just a lovely way for all of us to live and enjoy our love of travel.
We've made friends with some of the staff, and certainly with some of the passengers. And the passengers are one of the reasons that we do enjoy cruising so much, because you get to hang out with people you like, and that's kind of nice.
We have a lovely family, and this is just part of our extended family. But they're people that we have truly come to love, and they mean a great deal in our lives. And the bonds that have been forged are more than words can possibly express.
I could listen to your stories all day. If you had to distill what Oceania Cruises means to you, what would you say?
Well, for me, it is my extended family. It really is very, very short and sweet. I'm very at home there. I'm at home here, but Oceania for me is an extended family. It's a second home, which is the first home when I'm there.
It's my happy place. I think that for me, rather than using more flirty words and anything else, that's what it really comes down to. Being on an Oceania ship is my happy place.
I love that. It's how we make you feel. Thank you, Bill and Karen, and we look forward to seeing you on board soon.
Nikki, I just love what Bill and Karen had to say. And I hear it time and time again. Our next truly grand voyage is an odyssey of discovery. And this voyage takes place on our 1,250 guest ship Riviera, which is a first for us. For those who have dreamed about exploring the lesser-known Arabian Peninsula, India and Asia, including less trodden corners such as Sri Lanka and the secluded island paradise of the Maldives, this journey will surprise and delight. An 82-day voyage of discovery that begins with boarding the beautiful Riviera in Abu Dhabi on December the 29th, just in time for the new year. First, we'll explore the United Arab Emirates, Qatar and Oman, before continuing into the western shores of India, with 6 full days to explore this intriguing country, including an overnight visit to bustling Mumbai. There are overnight stays in the Maldives and Sri Lanka and 3 full days in Yangon, Myanmar, providing ample time for exploring ancient Buddhist temples and pagodas. The discovery of Asia continues as we explore at the tropical paradise of Phuket and Koh Samui, before arriving in Bangkok for 3 full days of exploration. Next up is Brunei and Malaysia, then off to the beaten path of the Philippines, before 10 days immersing in the culture and history of Vietnam, with 2 overnight stays in Saigon and another in mesmerizing Ha Long Bay. The Odyssey continues north, exploring China, Taiwan and South Korea, with yet more overnight stays. 2 nights in Hong Kong, 2 nights in Seoul, and an overnight in Shanghai. This journey of discovery is capped off with 11 days and 9 diverse ports of call within the mystical islands of Japan, with overnight stays in Kobe and Tokyo.
And if you want to stay on Riviera but focus in more on India and Asia, we have our slightly abbreviated option with our epic Eastern Explorer 72 days from Mumbai to Tokyo. So instead of joining Riviera on December 29th, you would board on January 8th. Both options end in Tokyo on March 20th, just as the cherry blossoms begin to bloom. A great reason to extend your adventure with a post-cruise land excursion and explore more of this beautiful country. So you've now learned about 4 of our new epic grand voyages, and we'd like to now switch a little bit and talk about value. Exceptional value has always been a hallmark of Oceania cruises, as we include so many complimentary amenities. Whenever you sail on Oceania cruises, you'll enjoy free specialty dining, free unlimited soft drinks and specialty coffees, juices, and sparkling water, free shuttle service from ship to many city centers, free Wi-Fi, free room service, and much more. Additionally, we have our O-Life Choice program that layers on top of those already included amenities. The O-Life Choice program includes 2-for-1 cruise fares, round-trip airfare from many cities, and your choice of free shore excursions, free beverage package, or free shipboard credit. That's a lot of free. But that's not all, because on these select 4 grand voyages we've presented today, we have an extra special offer. You'll also receive free prepaid gratuities, and we will upgrade your air service. All of this further enhances your cruise vacation experience and underscores the value Oceania Cruises offers.
So now we come to the main event, our 2024 Around the World in 180 Days voyage, the grandest of our grand voyages. We're so very excited to announce the 2024 Around the World cruise aboard our small ship Insignia. And better yet, you'll have the convenience of choosing from various ports of embarkation which suit your schedule best. After all, as our tagline says, it's your world, your way. The first option is to set sail for 180 days from Los Angeles to New York on the 14th of January 2024. Or if you prefer to embark in Miami, you will board Insignia on the 29th of December for 196 days, the perfect way to ring in the new year. We know our world cruise guests are passionate travelers and want exclusive access to the world's most renowned cultural treasures and natural wonders. So we've designed 26 multi-day adventures. These optional overland tours range from the iconic Great Wall of China to the Great Pyramid of Giza and the legendary Taj Mahal. With me today is Jason Worth, our Vice President of Sales for Australia, and he's going to share with you some more interesting details about this unique voyage.
Thank you, Steve. This amazing journey of discovery begins as Insignia sails across the Pacific, visiting the Hawaiian Islands, French Polynesia, and the Samoan Islands. She then heads further south to the fjords of New Zealand and adventures down under, exploring the eastern coast of Australia. Continuing to Asia, you'll have a chance to immerse yourself in sought-after Bali, the Japanese culinary capitals of Tokyo and Kyoto, all before venturing to China, Malaysia, Vietnam, and the dramatic landscape of Halong Bay. The exploration continues along the eastern shores of India, the Arabian Peninsula, followed by the jewels of the Mediterranean and northern reaches of Europe. Finally, crossing the Atlantic to crown the journey, visiting the eastern seaboard of the United States.
We began by talking about our focus on the immersive destination experience we provide you. And I'd like to take a minute to illustrate this by comparing our 2024 Around the World cruise with two other cruise lines in the premium cruise line segment. The numbers really tell a story. First of all, on board Insignia, you'll be cruising with just 684 guests instead of nearly 2,000 or more. Our voyage is longer at 180 days versus 128 days or 111 days respectively. We'll visit 96 ports of call versus just 50 or 47. We'll spend 24 overnight stays, providing more time to immerse yourself in the destination versus 10 overnights or just one overnight stay. And lastly, we'll visit 34 countries versus 24 or 27 countries. So, put simply, the world of Oceania cruises is infinitely larger than what you would find elsewhere. When you add it all up, you will enjoy much more personalized cruise experience. You'll see more of the world and have more time to explore and immerse yourself in this journey of a lifetime.
But again, it's not just about where we take you, but the experiences we provide throughout the journey. During the voyage, you'll have access to over 100 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, 26 optional overland experiences, and 4 exclusive shoreside events. These events include a traditional acrobatic show in Shanghai, a royal evening at Hue Royal Citadel in Vietnam, an evening at an estate in Seville, Spain, and a celebration of river dance in Dublin, Ireland. Events that will only make your 180-day voyage all that more memorable.
Quite right, Jason. And Steve, we heard from Oceania Club members Karen and Bill a few moments ago about how special these longer voyages are for our guests. But it's also a unique experience for the staff and the crew on board. Before we get to the exceptional value of our Around the World voyage, I'd like to take a moment to introduce Steph Armengol, our Vice President of Hotel Operations. He and his team make the magic happen for our guests on board.
Hi, Bernie. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
First off, Steph, you and your team deliver wonderful experiences that keep our guests coming back again and again. We heard from a couple you know quite well about why they love the longer grand voyages. But what is it that makes these longer experiences so special?
The Around the World cruise is a different league. The ship is the destination. The journey is filled with special events on board, with our culinary themes, but also special events shoreside, tailor-made experiences. Anchored in Oceania's DNA is the family feeling between guests and crew. And the Around the World cruise brings this to a different level. We really have that sense of community. Everybody's a VIP on Oceania cruises, but the Around the World is something really special.
That sounds amazing. And how about feedback, Steph? What is it you hear most from the guests?
At the end of every around the world cruise, the feedback we get is always the same. See you next year. Because they're going to come back the year after, and every year after year, the bond amongst guests and with the crew is very special. You cannot describe it. It's very emotional. Guests leave, some of them cry, they keep in touch with the crew, they keep wanting to know news about their families. It's very special. You really have to do it to really understand what it is.
Thank you, Steph. It must be amazing for all of you to be able to share that together. And again, to really imbue the Oceania Cruises family style of cruising.
So let's talk about the unprecedented value of our 2024 around the world voyage in 180 days. Again, when sailing with Oceania Cruises, so much is already included on board. And our O-Life Choice program adds 2-for-1 cruise fares, free round-trip airfare, including transfers. It also includes your choice of up to 78 free shore excursions, free beverage package, or up to $7,800 in shipboard credit. Yet again, there's more. We will also be launching with our exclusive Prestige package. This includes an upgrade in air service to free first-class air, free prepaid gratuities, which is a value of up to $8,200, free laundry services, free onboard medical services, free visa package, luggage delivery, and a pre-cruise stay in a luxury hotel, as well as round-trip transfers. Altogether, over $50,000 in complimentary value, free to you. Today, we talked about the pent-up demand for travel and the trend for longer cruises. Last year, our around-the-world voyage sold out in less than 24 hours, which is why we are also introducing these 4 epic grand voyages. I encourage you to take this time now to view these itineraries in more depth on our website prior to our opening of bookings on March 2nd. Work with your travel professional now. Make your plans so that you can reserve one of these amazing voyages. I cannot stress enough the importance of planning ahead and working with your advisor today to get excited about these trips. It's been wonderful to spend this time together, and the time has just flown by. I hope we've piqued your interest in the world of Oceania Cruises and that these truly grand voyages are on your bucket list now. On behalf of the team here in Miami,
The team here in Southampton,
And the team here in Sydney,
and the entire Oceania Cruises family on board, thank you for joining us today. And we look forward to welcoming you on board very soon. We can't wait to be part of your epic journey.